He's got me, there we go, mic'd up here. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is John Van Brunt. I am the Managing Assistant Director of Transfer Admissions. You came to our program today about transfer admissions, our world-class process, and I'm going to describe to you and kind of go into detail about what a transfer student does, every step of the way, every contact that we have with a student, and we're going to kind of walk you through that process. I introduce myself, and right over here is Robin Roebuck, and I'll have her introduce herself as well.
As long as we don't knock down the place beforehand. I'm Robin Roebuck. I oversee the Student Support Services Unit within the Office of the Registrar. That unit is 3 parts. We are graduation audit, transfer, evaluation services, and also graduate student services. But as John mentioned, we're going to talk to you today specifically about the transfer process. And then we have a guest star too. This is Brian Trainer, and he'll tell you what he's here to.
Hello, everybody. I am Brian Trainer. I kind of jumped on here towards the end because, as John and Robin said, the transfer department, that is a process, but a big part of that process is actually scholarships for a lot of students, and a lot of students come and have questions about scholarships and how that works. So here I am. So I'm just going to go right into my thing. I'm not going to be very long because they have a lot more to cover than I do. My main reason for being here. Can I get a show of hands? Who's faculty here? All right, we have a lot of faculty. I recognize some of you. Even if you're not faculty, the main thing I want to convey right now is a very, very key time in my office and in enrollment management. Because the scholarship application, there are several different types of scholarships, but the one I want to focus on is the foundation scholarship. That application is actually online. It's a completely online process. It's been that way for several years now. The application for the foundation scholarship is actually available online right now on my website, which we'll get to in a minute. But I encourage everybody in this room, please tell your students that this scholarship application is available. It's a free application. Anybody could fill it out. If they're a prospective student, if they're a current student, we will know if they don't come here, they're obviously not going to get a scholarship. But if they do come here, much better to have that application in the queue getting reviewed. The way the timeline is, the application's online from December 1st to March 1st. Once March 1st rolls around, they get reviewed by a committee. That's something else I have everybody here I want to get your attention on. If anybody is interested in helping review scholarship applications, we get over 1,000 a year. I could use all the help I could get. It gets reviewed by everybody from faculty and staff to board members from the foundation board, the alumni board, donors. We have over 350 scholarships available. One application puts the student in the running for everything. I have an information sheet if anybody wants it. Notifications are made once the reviews are completed. Incoming freshmen find out in April. Actually, if they do the priority deadline, which is February 1st, they will find out by March 30th. All other students, transfers included, will find out in mid-June if they got a scholarship, the outcome. One way or the other, they'll find out. They'll get an email sent to the account associated with their application. So that's really how that works. Scholarships range in amount from $1,000 all the way up to full tuition. We have literally something for everybody, whether you're a camp. We have one for residency. We have ones for every single major you could imagine, every college. Go on my website. I have them broken down, foundation scholarship listings. Everything's broken down by academic, college, and major very easily, pretty conveniently. So please encourage your students to fill out the foundation scholarship application. If anybody gets a review, you might be asked to be a reference. If you're a reference, that's another online process, very simple. You'll get a link sent to you, a secure link. Just a couple of checkbox questions and then a little statement about the student. No letters necessary, nothing like that. Very plain and simple. So that's a foundation scholarship application. For the merit scholarships, we have them for freshmen, but now, as of this past year, we have a transfer merit scholarship. That's really cool. We've never had that before. What's nice about that is it's a one-time $1,000 scholarship we could offer the incoming transfer students. If they meet the requirements, what are they? It's a 3.0 grade point average at their previous institution, and an associate's degree or comparable credits, which I believe, John, 60 credits. So that's how that works. Pretty plain and simple, cut and dry. If they actually qualify for this scholarship, it's automatically coded in when their application for Kean gets reviewed. and then it goes into their account, and they have it $1,000 right off of their bill. So that's kind of neat. Finally, the last thing I'll talk about, external scholarships. External scholarships, even if obviously we want all of our students who apply to come here, and many of them obviously do, but if they don't, well, either way, I have a reference that's very valuable on my website. It's an external scholarship resource. I have different search engines for scholarships where it's always, if I never like the student to leave my office without an answer for something or some kind of hope. So what I tell them to do, if they miss the deadlines or whatever, external scholarships are the way to go. You fill out the external scholarship, or you could go on the external scholarship links. You could search by your major, by your hometown. In this case, I have students coming, oh, there it goes. Some students will come in and they could search by deadline. They might be able to find something even for this semester, this late in the game. So I always like to arm them with as much information as possible. So that's really, that's the brunt of what I wanted to get to. I'm going to turn it back over to John and Robin. So thank you all very much for listening to me. And again, if you're interested in being a scholarship reviewer, please email me. My email is btrainer@kean.edu. And the scholarship application is available on my website, which is kean.edu/ku/scholarships. Thank you again, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the session.
All right. Thank you, Brian. All right. Good. So we're going to dive right into it. Just to kind of give you guys an idea of what the admissions timeline is. Admissions is ongoing. Admissions doesn't really stop. There's always another student that we can lock into really wanting to come to Kean University. So I point out these. So anyone interested in coming in the spring, we are recruiting, and our application are starting to flow in during that period of time, during the fall. All right. As of yesterday, we still had students trying to apply to attend class in the spring. All right, spring starts in 5 days. So we're making sure that we're trying to be flexible with the students, saying, hey, maybe summer might be better or whatever it might be, but we have students that are interested right up until the start of class, okay? As far as the early fall deadlines, goes all the way up until April, okay? Fall students, we're recruiting students, we have interested students applying all the way through the entire year, all the way through the summertime. And it's one of those things that we aren't going to turn people away. Our demographic of students generally do enroll late in the game also. We do have students coming in the summertime saying, you know, this is the first time I visited the school. I was going to go to county college, but I'm thinking about coming to Kean now. And we will take their application, process it, and get them through the process so they can start in the fall. All right. I point out this is our recruitment time. All right. Recruitment, again, is one of those things that is nonstop, but you can see the little dots here. This is when the counselors are out in the office. They're out in the field recruiting, making connections with students, making connections with counselors, and the spots where there's no dots, that's generally when we're back in the office trying to process the applications. All right. The accepted students conversion is nonstop. We are constantly trying to find a way to convert the students from what I'll show you in a little bit, our funnel. All right, every step of the way, we want to make sure that they are locked in, and Kean is the right choice for them if we identify them as a potential student. Okay, so the funnel. This is what I'm going to reference to a lot today. The funnel is basically every step of the way a student has to take to become an enrolled student. Okay, and at the top we have a number of students, and it filters out all the way to the bottom of the actually enrolled students. Okay, so at the very top we have suspects. These are people we suspect are interested in Kean University. These are people that have not expressed interest in Kean University. These are people that we think might be interested. And what I mean by that is these are lists that we've purchased. These are lists of people that, community college demographics that we think might want to transfer to Kean, people that we want to advertise to, people that we want to market to, okay? Specifically what we do as the admissions department, we send out communications, and that's going to be a common theme throughout the entire presentation. We communicate to students in a variety of different ways. If it's phone calls, if it's emails, if it's we're trying to roll out our text message plans, finding a way to communicate to the students to let them know about our events on campus. All right. We create opportunities for university presence at colleges. When we go out to colleges, we want to make sure that people are aware of Kean and how they can transfer into Kean. Specifically, and we're working on this right now with Union County Colleges, having office hours, making sure that we are known. People can graduate from UCC and then transfer into Kean. We want to build that relationship. We want to make sure that we have that, that connection with the UCC community, with a number of community colleges in the area, so people can graduate from there and transfer into Kean. Information sessions, we have different events, different recruiting events, different college fairs. They call them transfer fairs in the community colleges, where people get together, and it's us and a number of different colleges. We want to put our best foot forward with our marketing materials, our brochures, our fact sheets, things like that, and more than anything, a conversation with the student, with the potential student, okay? Now, we always point out, that's what we do as an office. This is what every other department can do. This is, again, another common theme throughout the rest of the presentation is what can the faculty, what can every department do? And it goes through the whole thing. It goes through the entire university, meaning it's not just faculty, it's not just the library, it's not just even student services or the cafeteria or whatever it might be. Everybody has a hand in recruiting students, and this is what we can do. We can reach out to colleagues at the other community colleges if we have counterparts at other community colleges or partnerships with anyone at the community colleges. It's a great way to get in contact with them so they can promote it on the other end. I always say my job is to recruit students into Kean University, but it's really hard to recruit each and every individual student. We want to recruit and we want to build relationships with referral sources, so counselors and faculty and anyone that could tell a student, hey, you should go and check out Kean University. We want to connect with that person. We want to build that relationship, all right? So if you guys can help us build that, all right? Articulation agreements, which we're going to go into detail a little bit later on for students to transition into Kean, and joining on any information sessions and presentations. There's a number of times that we might do a College of Ed information night. Join in on that so we can get that information out to the students. If we have a information session here on campus or if there's one off campus, just let's get involved and have everyone be able to go out there and sell Kean to the best of their ability. All right? So they go from suspects, they go to prospects, okay? So we suspect they might be interested, then they finally tell us that they are interested, all right? A prospect is someone who's filled out one of our inquiry cards at a college fair, someone that filled out a card or filled out one of our online inquiry cards. They checked out our website and said, hey, I want a little bit more information. I want to talk to somebody. Someone that expressed interest in an open house, something along those lines. That's what we consider a prospect, someone who has now taken a half a step towards us. All right, and now we want to capture them and bring them to campus and really have them check it out. Again, we're going to send them a number of different email communications, we'll have phone campaigns, things like that. We're going to direct students that are interested in Kean to njtransfer.org. Those are transfer students, so they can go to njtransfer.org to see how their credits can transfer into Kean, what they transfer as, and that kind of conversation. We also want to encourage them to attend recruitment events. A student is 50% more likely to attend Kean if they visit. Okay, so we want students to come here as much as possible. If we can convert a prospect to someone who's visited campus, they are much more likely to start. There's no other statistic out there that'll show that a student is more likely to start than them coming to campus to visit. All right, because it's an impressive campus. When they come to campus, they get to talk to a number of different people, a diverse population. Also, they'll talk to me, they'll talk to students, they'll talk to faculty, they'll come to the open house, they'll see, the big show that we put on there for them. That's the thing that can lock them into coming to Kean, all right? What can the departments do? They can inform admissions reps on what's new in their department. Any information you can give us, the better. And like I said, that goes from academic departments to non-academic departments. Get us all the information we can so we can go out there and advertise to the students. More than anything, students like anecdotes. Okay, I can tell students that they, when you graduate with your degree in business management, you can go out and get a job working at whatever company. That kind of falls flat a lot of times. But if we can tell the student, hey, if you go to Kean, we just had a graduate in our business management program who went out and got a job at this big firm, people like to hear those anecdotal stories. That makes it more real, more tangible. They can touch that, okay? That's something we want to hear, so we need those stories. So any kind of story that you can bring back to us, we would love it, all right? Now, they went from suspects to prospects, and now they actually applied. We got them to apply. That's the best bet. That's our first step to enrolling a student, right? So they've applied to the program. They apply either through our online application or through the Common App, okay? Now, this is what we do. We again communicate to them, all right? Now, we send out automated email instructions. We send them, again, we're call campaigns, things like that. But But more than anything, we want to let them know about scholarship opportunities like Brian was just talking about, all right? What can the departments do? Talking the same language, that was put on this slide specifically because students will call, and this happens quite often, students will call and say, hey, I'm an applicant and I have to talk to somebody about my program. And it turns out they're actually an accepted student or they're actually registered for classes. We have to speak the same language, make sure that we identify the students as where they are in the funnel process, okay? Now, what you can do, make sure that we're leading them to the next step, all right? And we're gonna talk about the next steps in a little bit too. But if an applicant comes to you, talking to them, engaging in them, what they need to find out, and then taking them to the next steps, showing them where they should go from here, all right? This is a big step here, is accepted and deposited. This is a big deal, and we're gonna kind of show you why this gets a little murky, and we really are tightening it up and making it cleaner as we speak. We're making the changes, okay? So, an accepted student is someone who has been accepted into Kean University, all right? Criteria to get into Kean, as a transfer student, more than 30 credits, 2.0 GPA, 15 to 29 credits, a 3.0 GPA. That's our standard criteria to get into the college, okay? Those students have been accepted into the college. Moving forward, we give them all the information until they deposit. We give them all their next steps until they pay their deposit. And a deposit, that secures their enrollment. That allows a student to take their next steps and meet with their advisor and really move towards enrolling, okay? Now, this is what we do. We provide the faculty with the information. We tell the faculty, hey, here's all the students in your department that have just been accepted. If you can, give us a hand and put them through the process. Help us inform them of what their next steps are. We're going to talk about the communication with that in a second. Encourage students to deposit. That's their first step once they've been accepted, okay? Provide the next steps, which I'm going to show you right now, and send the communication link about the completed evaluation, all right? So once a student's accepted, we accept them into the college. 72 hours later, the evaluation is completed, and an email is sent to the student saying that your evaluation is done. Click here for your next steps, all right? It's very plain English. I like to say it's somewhat simple, okay? Now, what you can do on your side, help us reach out to these students. These are students that are going to eventually come to you for advising. So if you want to get ahead of it, you have one of those days where you go, oh, I wish I was busy today because next week looks swamped. I'm going to be crushed next week. Let's try to take care of what we can. That's why we're going to get that email communication out to you, all right? Once the evaluation is complete, reach out to the students. Speak to what matters most, okay? As I said before, anecdotes. People like to hear stories. The students like to hear the stories. They want to hear the outcomes. They want to hear what the academics, what am I going to be learning in these classes? What am I going to be seeing? Is it going to be hands-on? They like to hear those kinds of stories, okay? Now, enrolled. Once they go through all of our steps, we get them enrolled. Enrolled means that they've registered for classes. Now, this is kind of a tricky one. We think they've registered for classes. What does that mean? That means they're a student. Let's move on, right? Problem is, we have enrolled students that don't end up attending classes. We have enrolled students that don't show up. We lose a percentage of these students. How do we lock them in? And this is just one last step of engaging that student to make sure that they are locked in and this is really where they're going to be, okay? So we invite them to the orientation. We want to encourage them, hey, send your final transcript in. It gives us another reason to call them, email them, contact them, okay? Now, on your end, what you can do is, after you've advised them or during the advising process, make sure that you can follow up with them to make sure all their questions are answered, any confusion has been resolved, all right? Inviting them to different social events, all right? And we were talking about different recruitment events. Someone had an idea for each department maybe having some kind of social prior to the start of the semester, some way to get the students engaged with some or all faculty if we can, all right? And then assist with student orientation, just being there to provide some information or any other details. Now, communication next steps I'm going to show you here. As I said before, between acceptance and deposit, or acceptance and enrolled, that's where their students passed off from our office to your department, and then back to us, and then over to orientation, and then back to us, and they just keep getting passed around. We want to make sure that communication is clear, all right? So in their acceptance letter, they get that acceptance letter we send it 24 hours after their acceptance, all right? Gives them their information for Kean-wise, which there's a note here saying that it may be changing soon, but it gets them that information. Then they get their email 72 hours later that their evaluation is complete. Once we take that evaluation, that's when they can start their next steps, which is the 5 steps to enrollment, which is this page right here, okay? And that's the next steps. It takes them, the email basically says your evaluation is complete. Click here for your next steps. Plain English, right? Okay. So they go here, next steps. I'm a transfer student, so they click on the transfer student link, and here's their 5 steps. 1, submit your deposit. 2, take the placement exam if needed. 3, review your program evaluation. 4, schedule your mandatory pre-registration advising appointment. 5, register for classes. Now, we do have some faculty here. How many students have come to you ready for their advising, but their evaluation wasn't done? All the time, hands up all the time, because it happens all the time. Students jump the gun. We try to communicate to them the best we can to let them know you need to wait for your evaluation before we can get advising, before we can push you to the next step. But they get excited, they're eager. They go, hey, I'm accepted, I want to do the next step, I can't wait to do it. So this is us trying to put it in plain English so they know that, okay? Now, I always put this quote on here. I think this is very important. Single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. So I just said plain English. We told them, here's your 5 steps. Here's what you have to wait for. Do this, all right? And I just asked the question, do they do that? No. They jump the gun a lot of times, okay? So that's why communication is different for everybody. If you send me an email, chances are I got it. I understand it. I know what's expected of me. Students apparently don't. They get these emails and they go, okay, I'm just going to move forward and figure it out along the way. And I don't have to read that. I'll be good. All right? So we have to make sure that we're communicating and we're actually communicating, not just sending an email out. Yes? Sure. That or the web page. I got it. Yep. Did you have a specific step you want to look at? Correct. Yes, correct. And so the acceptance letter goes out letting them know to wait for your evaluation. The evaluation goes out saying your evaluation is complete as of, your current evaluation is complete, I should say. Now, if they have classes in progress, which Robin's going to touch on a little bit, if there's classes in progress, no, it's not complete because we don't have their final transcripts. In these steps, no. For the program evaluation, no. We do not say it's not complete because it's different for everybody. You know what I mean? But maybe put a little asterisk in there saying that if we don't have your final grades, your evaluation isn't 100% complete, we could probably do that. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
We have to, I think, communicate better because now you're sending students a letter saying your evaluation is complete, you have 37 credits, and they say, what? I need 64.
Yeah.
Right.
William Patterson's giving me 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to provide some better communication information there in those 5 steps.
Yeah, I would suggest, you're right, some kind of verbiage in there about the evaluation, your current evaluation is complete. If you have in progress or anything else outstanding, then those will be evaluated.
If I could
once we
jump
get
in
that.
for a second there, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And John and I, and along with Carlos Nazario, who is the Associate Director for Undergraduate Admissions, we've talked about just kind of tightening up our communication with students in general. Right now, like we had in that slide there, it said that the Kean-wise information may be changing. Right now, we're sending an admissions letter out to students and providing them with their Kean-wise information at that point. So that's why students are jumping the gun, because they're logging in, they're finding out who their faculty member is, and they're going, right to you without the evaluation. If we maybe don't give them that information up front and just say, congratulations, you're admitted, wait for your next step, and then give them that information with the evaluation and perhaps tell them something like that, then, we can get a better process going, smoother, not kind of excite them too early, but just give them enough information to kind of hook them. But we've heard that a couple of times while we're going around to the different colleges. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. Right.
Or you complete your evaluation once you have completed your semester. Or
Right.
once we have verification that you have your degree, and at that point you will be entitled to receive whatever the credits are.
Mhm.
I think we have to be more forthright in telling them what to expect, as opposed to simply saying, the looks on their faces make me say,
Right.
32 credits or whatever.
And that is a process that we're trying to communicate. When I meet with a student that says, hey, I'm looking to apply for next spring, I always tell them, apply early, get us your transcript early, and then you'll get us your final transcript. A lot of people think they have to wait for their final transcript, which gets us in the situation that we were all just talking about, we're in right now, where students are getting us their final transcripts 5 days before classes start. And then we're trying to get the evaluation done, and we're trying to rush through all this. It doesn't work like that. We need to get your classes, or I'm sorry, your official transcript with classes in progress, and then we'll get your final transcript later. All right, it's most important, let's get it done now. So absolutely, this is something that we're wrestling with, and hopefully I'll be here next year to present the new process. All right?
I am going to speak more to that in just a couple slides as well, though.
Speaking on just communication, making sure we're getting out there. We've all heard the golden rule. This is my kind of hippy-dippy, the platinum rule. This is the, we know golden rule is treat others the way you would treat yourself, right? Or you want to be treated, I should say. Platinum rule is treat others the way, or speak to others the way they need to be spoken to. Communicate to people the way they need to be communicated to. People need to understand us, okay? All right, I'm gonna, I guess, start over here.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Click away too. Perfect, thanks. Okay, so the evaluation process, just last January, the evaluation process split from the Office of Admissions. Previously, we had evaluation specialists who were also the admission specialists. So like I said, last January, those admissions specialists became the admissions team that you see here in the front row. Wave, everybody. Hello, hi, perfect. And then we have now 4 evaluators who are just specifically focusing on transfer evaluations. And they're doing the initial evaluation, and then they're following that student throughout their studies. So they're doing updates, they're doing changes of major. It's a really smooth process now that they have just that as their focus. So what's happening, just to get that message from admissions to the evaluators, it's all electronic. We're using a system called Recruiter. Some of you may be familiar with that, just if you're using it for admissions purposes at the graduate level, perhaps. But it's really smooth, and everything's been working pretty well now that we've worked some kinks out. But they're getting that information, and they're doing this evaluation within, like John said, 72 hours. So students getting that letter, and then they're being told, just hold on, it'll be available for you. We're sending that communication out to them. They can log into their Kean Wise, view it, perfect. They have questions, they can speak to the evaluation specialist if necessary, but most of the time they have the resources to find out what happened with their evaluation. We can provide them with that information as well. We mark all of, like I said, we're evaluating them, we're putting the credits into colleague, so you can also access that information too if you go into the degree audit function there, but they can get through Kean Wise too. Like I said, the processing to decision is 1 business day, and then for us, it's 3 from there. Something that we really wanted to talk to you about today was NJ Transfer. How many people are currently using NJ Transfer here? Oh no, okay. We definitely want to have every hand in this room up now, because NJ Transfer is a really, really valuable resource for transfer students. It's not just a course-by-course equivalency website. It is that, and that's probably the most used part of the site, where students can go from a community college and literally just put in every class that they've taken there to see how it comes in at Kean. But beyond that, there's a lot more resources that they can use. The students really can, if it's a student coming out of high school and they know they want to go straight to a community college, they can go on there and look at a 2-year plan for that community college. That doesn't necessarily grant them a degree at that county college, but that allows them to come to Kean as a junior. So we're telling them, for all of the programs that we offer here at Kean, this is how you can go to whichever county college they're looking at, and then transfer here smoothly, without a problem. You'll get all of your credits, and everything, it works out perfectly. What we're doing with this, though, we need help. We are not the subject matter experts by any means, so we're reaching out to the departments on a regular basis to not only update these 2-year programs, recommended transfer programs they're called, but we're also reaching out for you for these course equivalencies. We get a weekly list from NJ Transfer for all of the courses. I'm not going to bombard you every week with a list that we get, but we're kind of gathering them on like a 3-month basis and sending them out to you so that you have kind of a bulk of things to look at. You evaluate them, you come back to us, you tell us which classes. If it's something that seems a little off, say you come back with a 3,000 level equivalency, we'll talk to you and say, this was from a 2-year school, perhaps we want to reevaluate that, and we'll work things out. Also, another thing that they can do, the students, if they start off at a county college, they can actually do a transcript evaluation. So along the way, they can see, if they're plugging in their transcript at the county college, they can see what their progress would be here at Kean. So that's another great tool. Also, if you have recruitment events that you're attending or that you're going to be hosting here, you can tell us about that and we can put them on NG Transferred as well. So the college counselors can tell their students about it, or just any student who logs on to NG Transfer. If they're kind of shopping around, they see something at Kean, it's another way to get that message out beyond our website. Because they might not necessarily find us themselves, but they'll be on NG Transfer looking, and that's another way. And yeah, that's it. So articulation agreements, I have a handout if I can have an assistant help me. Thanks. Yes, sure. Yep. Yep, absolutely. Yep, yep. Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Pass one back to him, thanks.
Yep, I'm going to get to that in a couple slides, but what they actually do need to do is fill out a request in order for a reevaluation to take place. Yes, the student must do that. There is a function on Kean Wise that says, what if I changed my major? The problem with that, it only goes so far, because here at Kean, we only put in the courses that we're going to accept from a county college. So there might be a slew of classes that we didn't accept for that particular major that could be applicable to another program. So it only tells you so much information. So when we change the major, those classes might come in, so it's not completely accurate. So we do need to have that request come in so we can look at it entirely. No, it's online. The form is online. No problem. So articulation agreements, I could pass this off to John too, but we just handed out a handout to you, which kind of summarizes the articulation agreements that we agreed to several years ago with all of the New Jersey county and community colleges. And basically that states that anyone who has an AA or an AS degree can come to Kean as a junior, roughly. I say that because they have to come in with a comparable degree, a comparable major. So an accounting student cannot come here as an education student and expect to receive all 66 of their credits. If they come from accounting to accounting, yes, it's pretty fair that they'll come in as a junior. And also it just kind of outlines a little bit more there too, just credits, grade restrictions, things of that nature. On the back side, it will get some more information about that as well, but that's a summary of our transfer policies here at Kean too. So between those two sides of the handout, you have a really good idea of what we're looking at when we evaluate a student in our office. And then John can tell you a
and
little
just
bit
to
more.
build on that, so she's talking about how it's a smooth transition. She shows how this is supposed to be. They can check their degree audit. They can get their transcripts evaluated on their own through NJ Transfer. This is supposed to make it nice and easy for the student. But more than anything, as I was saying before, it's hard to recruit every single individual student that comes to Kean. This kind of lumps it all together and advertises for us. So we do a little work to make sure these articulation agreements go through, and then it does the work for us. It goes out there and recruits students from the community colleges to advertise that we have this articulation agreement with Middlesex County College, Union County College, Bergen, Hudson. This is what we want to move forward because this locks students in. Students see this online and they go, okay, this is great. Kean is one of the schools that I can transfer my associate's degree into. This is why the articulation agreement is so important. It helps us move forward with recruiting. All right. As far as it cuts recruiting costs and makes sure that we have students that are ready for a 4-year college. These are people that are getting their associate's degree. All right.
So something here, this is a lot of information up here, but we're going to kind of walk through it together. A lot of times you're going to get, as Pat was kind of, Pat Polito, not Pat Maria, was mentioning here, you're going to get those students who come to your office and say, Why didn't I get all of my credits? What's happening here? So these are some of the questions that you need to be asking them to find out what the root of the issue is. Oftentimes, we don't have their updated transcripts. That is the #1 culprit for students losing credits. We don't know what they did in their last semester or if they've earned an associate's degree. So question number 1, do we have them? If the answer is no, they need to be sending these to the Office of Admissions. It is not to the Office of the Registrar. If they come to our office and they hand us a transcript, we're not going to turn them away or send them to Kean Hall. We're going to accept that transcript, but we prefer they send it to admissions just for more direct and expedited processing. If they say, yes, we did hand them in, but not all courses were evaluated, we have a form on our registrar's website. It was newly developed. It's just a simple Qualtrics form, which basically asks for a reevaluation of their credits. There's several reasons they can request that. 1, because they weren't satisfied with their evaluation. 2, their last semester's credits weren't evaluated. 3, they attended another institution while they were here at Kean. That goes with coursework in another institution. That's not technically the same kind of issue, but there's a lot of different things that they can kind of check off on that form. What that does for our office is just kind of helps us zoom in on the problem. So if a student says, it was just my last semester, I didn't earn an associate's degree, that tells our office we don't have to look at the entire transcript all over again. So it just helps us kind of determine what we need to be looking at, what we don't need to be looking at, and cut the time for that evaluation a little bit. Previously, we didn't really have a solid process in place for that. Students were handing transcripts in, not handing transcripts in. They thought their school was doing it for them. So we're getting this information out a little bit better to them now. We have, at the end, I'll show you, we have some resource pages for them that were not in place. We've made those a little bit more recognizable on the admissions page and through the registrar's page. So anytime they're kind of messing around online, these things are really upfront. I'm a very firm believer that if somebody can't find things in 3 clicks, they stop looking. So we've really tried to make that accessible to the students. The other question that you need to be asking, does the transcript list the associate's degree? If no, obviously they need to contact their previous institution, have them resend the transcript. Similarly, like I said with #1, if we don't have those transcripts, they have to send them. And if yes, again, that Qualtrics form is going to be where they need to turn. Yes? Sure, sure. Yeah, that's actually a hyperlink.
Oh.
Sure, absolutely. Fingers crossed it works.
All right.
Yes, yes, it's on the registrar site. It's called the Degree Audit Update Request, and it's also through the FAQ page.
I don't know why the link's not working.
What's that? Degree Audit Update Request. Yeah. Okay, so if you go to the registrar site, it's under our forms section.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Somebody
working
just
for
said
some
something
reason.
else too, but
Oh.
yeah. No, so if you're going through admissions under transfer credit evaluation specialist, I believe it is, there's at the top of the page it says for current and newly admitted students, and then there's a prospective student page. On that page, in the text there, it has it.
Okay, so I was going into the registrar.
Yes, but through the registrar site under our forms and policies, it does say degree audit update request there.
I'm not able to get to it through transfer credit evaluation. Because I think the way our transfer
Okay,
students go, they can go there before they can go to forms and policies.
okay,
So I'd be happy to talk to you about how we can make this.
sure.
That is something.
Oh, yeah.
Would love it.
We need to drive the population. This is great. I had no idea this was great. Great.
Oh, awesome, thanks. Okay, so this is the form here. Like I said, John can scroll down and you can see just some basic demographic information. And then here are the reasons that they're asking for the update. So again, they've submitted the transcripts that show the completion of the degree. last semester's coursework. Also included here are advanced placement or CLEP exams. We do not handle those in our office, but that would allow us to refer the student to the correct area. That's actually under general education. They check out those credits for us. And then this one here, they believe they should have gotten more credit. What we're asking the students to do here in that notation is to talk to their advisor first to see if they have an idea of why they didn't get credit. I'm going to talk about in a couple slides here is these students are coming to you guys first, and they're talking to you. They're talking through this. They're trying to find out. We're sending credits that we think could potentially, from particularly four-year institutions, that could potentially be major courses. So if there's something like that out there, you might have a form sitting in your office that you haven't yet had a chance to process. Student comes and says, I didn't get any of my major credits. Why? Well, I just got that form yesterday, so this is the reason. Let's go through it together. And you can kind of walk through, see what credits actually do transfer and whatnot. So it might just be, you know, things crossing over. Yes?
The scenario that Pat mentioned earlier is not on the checklist. So, right, she's absolutely right. So one situation, students come in and have received credit for our first course of program.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they don't know sufficient.
Right, right.
That course taken off, 3 hours
Yes.
something else, and they will enroll that in our first course program.
I know.
Replace uniform type
No.
something that I give the student, I'll have to tell them exactly what to type in. How can we make sure that they continue to maintain all the Kean credit they want? We're not taking credit away, we're just changing the way it shows up.
That's a different form. Yeah. You're talking about the change of major, correct?
No, I am not.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm talking, if the student doesn't change the major form, that's a separate
Yeah.
story. The transfer credit they brought into the university was evaluated, say, maybe for education.
Okay.
They felt they wanted something else. I will reevaluate some of their early coursework to give them more strength in their major. It can apply towards degree requirements in the new major, for example, BA versus BS, that kind of thing. This is very explicit, and I've been doing it through memos to Magna Resi, of course, but it looks like it has a great automated ideas.
Okay.
We have a lot of our transfers change majors, so I'm sure this is a larger problem in this kind of area.
Okay.
I think if you just put a box that said other,
Yeah.
left
Okay.
space, that would take care of quirky things like what Pat was talking about.
Okay, absolutely.
Do that, I'm sure College does support that.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, we do have some free text down at the bottom that says add any additional information you feel would be necessary to complete the evaluation, but I'd be happy to add another checkbox up there which does the same thing.
We get pretty specific, we say 3 hours of this, 4 hours of this, and someone can add an extra hour. It's all very straightforward, but we definitely don't free-form items.
Happy to do so. Yes.
And Pat's form, that has to be more easily accessible or visible for students when they're looking at this. You can't hide it under a bunch of points and things. It's not going to look.
Right, right. And that's why we wanted to get the message out here through professional development days, because a lot of the times these things are not known to staff and faculty, and they don't know how to advise these students. We did try to, like I said, we did try to put it on the admissions page and the registrar page because we know they're looking in these two places. So as much as we can make it accessible to students, we're trying to do that, but I absolutely will take those suggestions of putting it, you know, through the transfer evaluation site and all these different things and adding those check boxes as well. Deb? Oh, yeah. Transfer students, as far as I know, they do not get a different handbook than any other student because it is the same undergraduate catalog that they're following, or any kind.
The transition course.
Yeah, I mean, they do take the GE 3000, which is transition to Kean. So I personally am not involved in that course, and that is general education. So I'm not sure exactly what materials they're giving to the students there.
You should definitely have this as part of the teacher or even
Okay.
I get some people come and tell us, this is very good, it's a real positive development. And
Great.
you should share it with our students.
Great, thanks. Yes, Deb.
Robin, so I know the students' campuses can be faculty and these info consist so that we're all consistent and we all use the same form? If we want to make changes to the student and we're.
Like on behalf of the student?
Yeah.
I can't see why not. I can't see why not. I mean, the thing that's most important with this form is making sure that we also have the transcript. I think, like I said, it's a two-prong approach, really. Students were handing the transcripts in, but we didn't know, sometimes processing would send it to us, sometimes they wouldn't. With this, the student might not hand in the transcript, but at least now we know to track them down. So we're trying to get at it both ways. If a faculty member or staff member fills this in on behalf of the student, that's the only thing that I would be concerned about, would be that we didn't necessarily have the accurate transcript. But if you're sure about that and you have somebody sitting in your office and you kind of work through it with them, or if they've left and you're concerned, yeah, absolutely. If this just comes straight through, we have a student services email account. So this is just coming, those forms are coming straight through there. We do have our departmental secretary who's looking at them and then kind of farming them out to the evaluators when needed. She's checking Image Now to make sure that the transcripts are there and are the ones that the student has stated are the most accurate. Yes? Yes, they do. I mean, with Qualtrics, as they do with Qualtrics, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, we do 2 weeks for degree audit update requests, and for changes of major, which I'll get to as well. We do it's 2 weeks to administratively change the program, and then 2 weeks to evaluate. Sometimes it can be less, but just to kind of cushion things, we do that kind of timeline there. I thought somebody else had a hand. No? Yes, sir. Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yes.
All community colleges or just a few of them? That is the first question I have.
Okay.
The second one is deals with the data that was presented in the week schedule, that the number of transfer has been sort of dropping or almost zero. This, what is the reason behind that occurrence?
Okay, well, I can definitely address your first question. The NJ articulation agreement is for all New Jersey community colleges. So anywhere the student goes within New Jersey, we are honoring that. In terms of the data that you saw, I
Well,
personally
yeah, just
can't
to
speak
jump
to
in, there's no definitive exact reason why enrollment might be declining. There's a number of reasons that there's a decrease in the number of high school graduates every year. People are leaving the state of New Jersey. That's one of the big ones. Okay, and then two, the reason we're presenting today is we're starting a new process. I think before the process was clumsy, or more than anything, people weren't sure what their role was in the transfer process, so we were losing students that way. Someone actually described last night, students were enrolled, they were advised, they were ready to go, ready to start class. Because of lack of payment or miscommunication with the financial aid department, they were dropped from their classes and only half of them came back. That's a problem that we're still ironing out. And there was a number of students that were not getting advised. They just said, all right, never mind, I'll go somewhere else, because people weren't aware of what who their advisors were. We weren't communicating those 5 steps. Communication, expectations, and exactly how to take a student from applied to enrolled to starting classes. I think that's why we're trying to really bring this out and make sure that people know what their expectations are before they can start. So there's a million different reasons why that is, and the process is clumsy. And we're trying to make sure that everyone's aware of what the process is and how we're improving it. All right?
Ability to access student transcript from UV college. So we'll have that ability to access that for Lucian. For example, if I want to see the student transcript and see if there's anything there that I can use for my particular major that hasn't been, is that going to be available?
I mean, you still have the same access that you had previously. No, the access hasn't changed, but I mean, the best resource for access to a student's transcript is Image Now, because you're going to actually see the scanned copy of the transcript. If you don't have an Image Now account, our office can definitely, scan a PDF to you if that's necessary. Students can use, an unofficial copy when they're getting advisement or something like that. But for our purposes, we would need the official, obviously. So. I can, keep going on. I might be able to answer some people's questions while I'm moving through, just in the sake of time. Sure. If I can take one more, sure. Are you sure?
Well,
Okay.
specifically to the, my name is Sandy from the design. I'm new to the transfer process for graphic design. And it is so labor intensive on our end to transfer the major credits
Yeah.
that I can't believe it.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, can't believe it. In college. The form, just at the basic level, the form that gets scanned, the transcript is so dark that it's really hard to see.
Okay.
So I'm downloading it onto my computer and I'm opening up in a design program to lighten it up. So again, a lot of time. But there's no automated way that we can transfer the major credits into our advisement? Because right now, you're automatically doing it via whatever, but when it comes to the major credits, it's giving the department the responsibility to do.
Mhm.
Again, I wish there could be some automated way that, based on institution, if you just transfer it and evaluate it.
Right.
But we're manually doing this. And even Drexel, which has 2 credits a year free, I just had to evaluate a student coming in, it took me probably about 4 hours to
Wow.
do their transfer.
Okay.
So again, if there's some sort of automation, again, part of my ignorance, I may not know.
No, no.
But if everyone else is doing the same thing, I don't know if there's any way that we can help in this process.
Right.
We have any way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, your college is a little bit different than most colleges because we have to send all of those classes to you. But in that, something that I am, one of my goals is to develop a really strong database of these classes. So if we send it to you once, we don't have to send it to you again. You've already looked at this class from Rutgers, you've evaluated it, you've assessed that this is the equivalency. That's it. That's the equivalency for every student thereafter. So that kind of cuts that time. You might spend 4 hours on it one day, but you're never going to spend 4 hours on it again. So that's really one of my goals moving forward, is to find a way to just kind of store these and be able to retrieve them easily so that we don't have to bother you with every single class that comes through. Okay. Okay. So again, we kind of touched on these things already, missing credits and changes of major. So I'll kind of just move through here. Okay, so this is like probably the touchiest subject on campus. So I won't get too much into it because this is not our wheelhouse, and a common phrase in enrollment management is stay in your lane. So I'm going to try to stay in my lane, but with this, academic advisement is part of the reason that we're not seeing students enroll. So we just want to kind of talk about an ideal model that we've kind of talked about and what's actually happening now. So right now, an advisement hold is being placed on a student's account. It does need to be removed after every academic advisement session. This is incredibly important because in the Office of the Registrar, we see every day holds not being removed. And then we're trying to track down the advisor, saying, can you please remove the hold? We have the student sitting in front of us. They really want to register for classes. It's a huge turnoff for a student to not see that, connection being happening. Sorry. We have points of contact on the accepted student page. This is something that we need to be maintaining. It's not always maintained. Over the summer, a lot of these points of contact change. So we have to be in the loop with all of these things as well. And like John was saying before, we want to be proactive in our outreach to the students too, particularly with those points of contact. Instead of the students finding them, we want to find the students. And then different models that are currently being used for advisement: phone, email, in person. Yes?
One of the problems that we encounter is that students show up, we have no advance notice.
Right.
People are either teaching or busy or at a meeting, there's nobody available
Mm-hmm.
to work with a given student. In my other institution, we used to declare specific dates. Transfer, advisement, and registration happened Tuesday, Friday, and the following Wednesday, okay, from these hours. If you were if you were an advisor in a discipline, you were required to be there, like a program coordinator, someone who assumes more of that admissions responsibility. So there are guaranteed people where they're supposed to be on the appointed days. We're always going to get students who are going to wander
Right.
through here,
Right.
lost in space. I don't want to talk about those. That's another set of problems. But our students who need to come for registration and transfer advisement have to have designated time. So we eliminate all of this bizarre stuff that goes on, particularly with calls that go into the dean's office. There's no faculty here to work with us. Well, did they know you were coming? Of course not.
Right.
So we need to work on that.
And to build on that, and because we're not the advisors, we just want to make sure if every college is different and they want to do their advising, group advising, someone mentioned, bring in groups of people and tell them how to read their degree audit and really move forward. If you want to set appointments, if you want to do, this is our advising days, we will support that and we can get that information to the students with you. One of the main things is making sure the students know that our 5 steps that we showed you before, step number 4 wasn't get advised. The step 4 was set an appointment for your pre-registration advising appointment. Set your appointment, schedule your appointment. It's not just go see your advisor. But again, they're not reading the communication. So. Mhm.
That also has a second, the academic disciplines that the students have to major in or take courses in are not available on that day. So it's not, you designate your own days. It's, we have to systematically address this overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding a way to actually help these students to get advised so they can move forward and get registered is the end goal. Yeah.
They not only need to know how to get advised, they need to know how to use the Kean registration system. Many of them aren't familiar with it.
Yeah.
And if I have a group of students waiting to see me on what courses they're going to take, I don't have the time to show them how to go through the registration process. So I need to be able to send them someplace where they can
Right.
sit with another student here to show them how to use the system.
Well, there's actually a video online that shows them how to use Kean Wise. If they still need further assistance in that, they can absolutely come to the office of the registrar, and we have student workers who can help them kind of go through the system. We have kiosks in our office that students are always on. There's always somebody on our kiosk who's, trying to use Kean Wise. They're just new at it, and, we're constantly helping them just figure out that system. So that we can definitely address. Someone at the College of Education meeting the other day suggested that we continue doing information sessions for accepted transfer students. That was something that we used to do, and John and I are very much in support of that, and that would be one of the things we would actually address at that information session. I have a whole list of notes that they gave us then, so we're totally looking to implement that. Yes, okay, let me just kind of.
I saw your hand pop up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if you had a handout, this is how you transfer.
Mhm.
Another thing we did was we put links on top of the page. We have our library links at the top. If the student has never sat down at this computer before, they can figure out, yeah, okay, click that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that helps a lot. Capture that person right there. This is the first place they're gonna hit. You wanna see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Over to your department.
Yeah, getting the information to the student. That's the end goal, is if it's by email, by website, marketing materials, actual paper they can grab and take with them, just making sure that we're actually communicating it. That's the most important. Yeah, great.
Like I said, this is an ideal model, and by no means are we telling you how to do your job. This is just something that we think would help kind of convert those students from, prospective students, applicants, to enrolled students. So the advisor is assigned upon admission, entered into colleague. So the student would automatically be able to see who their advisor is in the system. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it does not happen. The student would receive the email contact once the evaluation is complete. This is happening, so we're good there. The advisement session would occur. So the student would be able to review their degree audit with their advisor. I note here, no guide sheets. Please, no more guide sheets. I beg sheets. Although they're more aesthetically pleasing, and I get that, it's one page, you can see everything right there, they're not always the correct one for the student. The student may have been admitted several years ago, now walk into an office and say, I need a copy of my guide sheet. You're giving them one for the current catalog year. This isn't right, now they're totally thrown off track, now they're following the wrong classes, they have some of the old ones, they have some of the new ones. With a degree audit, the student's catalog year is programmed in. It's following exactly what they're supposed to be doing. it's foolproof in that sense. So, and like I said, and it tracks it for them. It takes the guesswork out of things. So if anything is missing, they can see it, they can access it at any time. It's one less piece of paper that they have to hold and carry around and keep track of. And like I said, and the transfer credits as well. Pat had suggested this a long time ago, and this was definitely something we all had kind of wanted to see, and we're working toward this now, is getting the in-progress credits listed on the degree audit, the in-progress transfer credits, I should say. There's only a slight kind of kink with this that we're trying to look at. If a student has an associate's degree that hasn't yet been posted, that can change the evaluation entirely. So it's just a matter of getting that message across to the student that those in-progress credits will change if they get that degree. So it's in progress now, no pun intended. But what we want to also see at that advisement session is assessing career aspirations, possible class schedule, and removing that hold, entering any petitions or overloads that need to be granted to the student, and checking for any other holds the student might have. They might be somebody who came here previously, parked on campus illegally once, something like that. Anything like that could hold that student back from registering. And again, it's just another roadblock that keeps them from enrolling. If you have trouble with reading a degree audit, if you're not familiar with that, if you're new to Kean, we can absolutely help you within our unit. Any one of our staff is able and willing to just show you how to read it. It's a very simple system once you just understand how it works. So if you need any help with that, please do let me know afterwards. Okay. So the way the registration process works, advisor helps a student select several class options for that particular term. So obviously you're not going to give a student just 5 classes that they can register for that semester, because if any 1 or 2 of those classes are closed, they have no idea how to complete, a full-time. Students who are not familiar with the system or uneasy about it, they can come to the One Stop and we can help them there. And that's on the first floor of the administration building. The exception to this is if a student has to reset their password or their PIN. That has to go through OSIS. That is not something that we can do in our office. Okay, so we added this slide here because, again, we feel there is this disconnection. The gentleman in the back, you were kind of saying, where are we losing these students? This is something that, we feel are main issues here. So I mentioned this earlier. The students are making the first contact with the advisor. We should be making the first contact with them. This is something, I really feel like we're still wooing the students at this stage. So this is just that extra, world-class kind of customer service that we're talking about today. The evaluation of the number of credits applied to the degree is unclear or unsatisfactory. The evaluation and transfer policies and procedures are reviewed and explained by the advisor, or the student can be referred to where those are published. Classes are not unnecessarily retaken. So many times we see this. You may see this if you're a faculty member, a student sitting in your class and they say, I feel like I took this class before. Okay, well, did you hand in your transcripts? Again, number 1 culprit, just talk to those students. And then general misinformation is being communicated between academic departments or just, staff or anything. We've developed a referral form in our office that we're using across campus now. So it has all of these different departments listed on there. It has their locations, sometimes even a specific contact on there. It has a place for notes. We encourage other departments to do something similar to that because, like John was saying before, speaking the same language, that's not always used, I guess, across campus. Students don't know our jargon, and if you say to them, you need to go get an overload, they get to the next office, it's like a game of telephone. They told me to get a petition. No, that's not, we didn't tell you the same thing. So when you write it on a piece of paper, all they have to do is just go hand that piece of paper to somebody and you know exactly what the message was. So it's been working out really well for us, particularly just even between our 2 departments. We hate to have to send a student to another department. We always call the head to make sure somebody's there as well so that miscommunication doesn't happen. In the instance that somebody is not there and they have to visit another day, they have that piece of paper. They can just hand it off. It's been really good for us. And again, these were the resource pages that I was telling you about earlier. We can definitely click on them and see if it works, John.
Oh.
Maybe. hopefully. But we have two different FAQ pages. We have one for prospective students and one for current students. So basically, yeah, and
Is
then
it a transfer credit? Yeah.
Yep. And then the other one, we can always just click on that. So basically, this is asking, so prospective students, the number one question you're going to get, how many credits am I going to get when I come to Kean? They are window shopping, and they just want to know, what am I going to get? We do not do evaluations for prospective students. If we did, that would be a full-time job for probably the entire new staff. Unfortunately, I don't think many institutions do this as common practice, but students want that. We need to have an investment from them in order to invest in them. So that's all we're doing. And that page there, if we could go back to...
Oh, sorry.
Sure, no problem.
Which one?
That's not your job. Just that one there. Yeah, so basically, well, on the perspective page and on this page, it just kind of explains some things to them. How are my credits going to transfer? Well, this is the articulation agreement. This is how things may look. This is what you need to do in order to get those credits. Similarly, for the current and newly admitted students, some of those questions we kind of went through on the dissatisfied slides, it answers some of those there. So if a student contacts our office, is not able to contact, their specific evaluation specialist, we can direct them to this page. So they can kind of get some of those things answered without having to talk to someone specifically. Like I said, we tried to make this as accessible as possible so that they can get the information. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning and they're kind of, messing around online, they have that there. And then, these are just some contacts that you can reach out to us, Office of the Registrars at RegMe. And then also, I don't think I didn't include this on the slide, we have the student services at kean.edu as well. That's something students can contact to get directly to a transfer evaluation specialist or just the student support services unit in general. Were there any other questions? No?
Yeah.
Are we actually on time?
We're just about on time,
All
right?
right. We've been running over lately.
Good. Yeah, we peppered the questions throughout, so we didn't have to save them for the end, so that's good.
Awesome.
All right. But yeah, all these suggestions that came out, we want to use them. If it's going to make this better, let's do this program again next year with a whole new process. I'm ready for it. So every single suggestion, maybe if they're not all possible, we can try to implement some of them to make this process better. We absolutely want to do that. In the end, we want to help the students and enroll the students. That's the end goal, and we want to make this as easy as possible on everybody. All right? So, yeah, we're accessible. If you guys ever need anything, just reach out. All right? Thank you.
Thanks much.
Oh,
We're actually going around, we're kind of doing a road show this week to all of the colleges. So coming to a college near you soon. So. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. This thing.
I don't want to make us